Welcome back to Titan Academy. In this video, we will cover how to create a nested push in Titan Forms 2.0. A nested push is a series of pushes of data to Salesforce that run subsequently to one another and use record IDs created by a parent push. What we're going to do here is create a push to create a contact in Salesforce, and then a nested push to create a file attachment that is associated with that newly created contact. So I'm going to go over here to my gear. I will go to the Salesforce option. The Salesforce integration window opens. We will go to the push. This contact push is one that I created in the last video. We'll go ahead and delete this and go through the process again. To get started, we'll create new. We want to pick, for the parent push, the object in Salesforce contact. We will leave the action as create. On the mapping tab, we'll map our form fields to fields in Salesforce. So Salesforce last name, we will get from the last name field on the form. First name to first name. There are a couple of phone fields: mobile phone, home phone, and we also have an email field. Let's map that to the email. For today's purposes, we don't need to change any of the settings in messages, run criteria, or advanced. So I click apply. That push has now been created. Now we want to create a nested push to create a record on the files object in Salesforce and associate it with the newly created contact record. So I'll click the three little dots on the contact push and select Add Child. From here, I want to select from the object in Salesforce Files. This is also known as Content Version. My action is Create. For the mapping, we need to map at minimum two fields. First is the first published location ID. So if we search for that, this is the record ID of the first record in Salesforce to which this newly created file should be attached. Notice how from the elements, number one contact push and contact ID is already selected. You could change that if you want, but that's what we want to use. This is from that parent push, that push to contact, and this will return the contact ID of the newly created record. The second field that you need to set is version data. From here, we will pick the file upload element that's on the form. We call that choose files. We want to map the file attribute. There are other things that you can set here. If you want to set a custom title, you can do that dynamically, or you can do it just text, select other, sample file name. You could also map a description to a field on the form. I'll just leave that blank. Notice how in the Salesforce integration window, this child push, nested push, is numbered as number 1.1. You can also drag these around. If you want this to no longer be a child push, just drag it to the left. Or if you already have a push created and you want to make it a child, move it around like this. Make sure that doesn't mess with your mapping any. Review, make sure that's still mapped correctly. First published location ID is the critical part here, and the version data. I'll go ahead and save my project. And in my Create button, go to the action link, open up the action editor. This already has a Salesforce action node added, but since I deleted that previously created push, we need to add the one that we just created. So we'll select from our process push or get, number one contact, create. See how that's the only one listed. The child push is not listed because that's going to run automatically when the parent push runs. We'll save this. Now when we preview it, I'll enter a sample contact, Jane Smith, jane@gmail.com, enter a mobile and home phone number. Now we'll choose a file in our file uploader. Let's make sure to add one. And now when I click create, what is going to happen is the parent push is going to run and create this contact, Jane Smith. Then the nested push will run, create this file content version record and associate it with the newly created contact. Let's give that a try. The process runs. We get a confirmation. Let's look at my Salesforce. Contacts created today. Jane Smith was just created. Let's have a look. If we look in the details, we see first and last name, mobile and home phone number have been added as we entered, and that document is attached in the files related list. And that's how it's done.